Eden Zero is back, and we start off where we left off with the Homura being cut down. She falls out of her overdrive form, completely naked again, which means that clothing that she was wearing really was just made from her ether. And she is just spewing blood. Her vision starts to go fuzzy, and she begins to realize that she's actually dying at this point. And honestly, it's unclear if she actually does die at the end of this chapter or not, but we'll get there. She tries to push back her fear of death and concern herself more with her crew, but then she realized right now she can't worry about them, she needs to worry about her own life. So she allows herself to fear death at that moment, and she actually forcibly pushes herself up, declaring to herself that she does want to live, and anyone who wishes to die cannot defeat someone who wishes to live. And she is now completely determined to take on Fria. Fria actually tells her to stop because she purposely let her live just because she respected her strength. Homura ignores this and goes in for the attack anyway. That's when Fria decides, okay, fine, if you want to die, then I'll kill you. But I'll be nice and show you how my power works. Fria's sword turns into a giant hammer, and Homura barely dodges out of the way before being flattened by it. From what I can tell, Fria's power is ether. Well, that's what she's powered by, because that's what all things are. But her ability doesn't seem to be based on ether gear. It just seems to be straight technology. I say that because nothing she shows is anything that had to do with ether gear. It just is a weapon that she's able to change shape of, because the next thing it turns into are ninja stars that Homura reflects, but then the ninja stars transform into a spear, which then thrust at Homura. So yeah, it just seems to be she's a master of all weaponry, and her weapon is all weapons. Her spear then turns into a whip, once again forcing Homura back. That's when Homura realizes this is what Valkyrie meant when she said that Fria had the ability to use all armaments. She literally isn't just skilled at all armaments, she literally can just choose to use them because her weapon can transform to all. Funny thing is that Homura's fighting style, the warrior maiden, also has a very similar way of fighting, and so she transforms her ether into her bow again and fires it at Fria. Fria transforms her weapon into a bow and they collide. Homura used the explosion of the two arrows to get in close so she can then use her Wolverine claws this time, and she actually damages Fria's armor, and Fria's absolutely surprised by this. Homura doesn't waver for a second though. She keeps on the pressure, transforms her claws into her sword, and does the exact same attack on Fria that Fria did to her. By the way, Homura is still just spewing blood, while Homura is just continuously pounding away at Fria. Fria asked how is this possible. Her power is over 100 times stronger. In fact, it's like over 200,000 times stronger. But Homura points out that fighting is more than just ether. There's three qualities: heart, technique, and body. Homura says she outclassed her in heart because a warrior who wishes to live will always have more heart than a warrior that wishes to die. Technique, she's got Fria beat, and that because the warrior maiden can fight in every single form of combat, which means she can literally do the exact same thing that Fria can do. And finally, body. A well-trained body will never yield to anything. Basically what she's saying is she trains every single day. And we get a side profile of her naked body. This is probably the main reason why she was stripped naked. Well, that mushroom was kind of a pervert, but the fact is he wanted to show off the fact that her muscle structure is just perfect. She has been training her entire life to be a warrior. Fria actually starts to get flustered by this because she wants to be killed by a greater warrior, and she actively looks down on Homura. So the fact that she's now losing this fight pisses her off, and she demands who Homura really is. And Homura tells the truth. She's Homura, she's Valkyrie, she's the Sword of Edens. And as you can imagine, that answer is unsatisfactory to Fria, who wanted something more, and just calls her a little girl and decides that she's gonna kill her now. And so now it just goes into a toe-to-toe sword fight between the two of them, not yielding any ground whatsoever. Basically, this is the end of the fight, where one is gonna die and the other isn't. We get a flashback of Homura when she's a little girl with Valkyrie, and Valkyrie teaches her the ultimate secret technique of warrior maiden style. Now, it's straight up said by Valkyrie that is a technique only Homura can do, that Valkyrie can't do it herself, which means she probably has a separate secret technique, but this one involves using fire. Now, we've seen Homura use fire before. In fact, there's a reason why she turns into a kitsune, a fox spirit, when she goes into overdrive, because kitsunes use fire as well. So this just makes sense that Homura's ether ability is in fact fire. But it seems to be a discharge all at once kind of thing, and so you have to charge it over time. And apparently Homura's been charging this since she was a little girl. So the reason why Homura doesn't like baths and she gets overheated easily and constantly is just dying of heat stroke when everyone else is just telling her it's really not that hot, you're overreacting, it's because she's personally storing a literal flame inside of her body this entire time. So her body is always actually hot, and so when she's doing something that involves a lot of heat. This just overwhelms her. Homura finally unleashes her fire for the first time ever. Well, not including the small ones, but this is all of it at once. The flame doesn't just go on her sword. No, it envelops her entire body and her surroundings. So she just roasts everything. And the flame that is on her sword is able just to burn and cut through Fria like butter. She's literally cut in half. Fria explodes, and Homura wins the battle. Her last words before either passing out or dying is, "I feel cold," which makes sense because she literally released all the fire she's been having inside of her body since she was a child. Now all she has to do is hope for her sister to get to her before she, bleeds out. But my thoughts is that this was a really good chapter. Like, they actually showed Fria some respect with this fight. I'm glad they did that because they were hyping her up for a long time. And they really put respect on Homura's name as well. So yeah, I really enjoyed this chapter. Alright, if you enjoyed this video, subscribe, give a thumbs up so you enjoy more Eden Zero and other things. Thank you and have a great day.